Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Mental Health Day podcast. My name is Talea at STFU Just Be Happy. This podcast is brought to you by Onami, a creator led company that provides free resources for young adults to master adulthood. This is where we talk about all things mental health with your favorite creators and giving you tips and tricks to master adulthood, which you can't do if you don't master your mental health. Today we are with the one and only, seen on Good Morning America, Raimee Travels. Hey, Raimee.
Hey, Talia. I'm so excited to be here. Mental health is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I think there are a lot of tie ins to travel in a way. So I'm excited to get into it with you.
Yes, we are very excited to have you. So, Raimee has been traveling before it was even cool for like 10 plus years, and she's been working remotely before it was like the thing to do. So, she's an expert in those two things. And I wanted to bring her to talk about all things travel because, as you guys know, or you're going to know now, is that I get horrible travel anxiety when I'm about to go on a trip. Like, I feel guilty. I feel like I should be doing the dishes, organizing that closet, or just doing something, but not going on a vacation. How do you get over that?
Okay, I love that question. I think that's something that we struggle with a lot in America, especially is like taking vacation time, not feeling guilty about it, and actually using all of the days that we have. I mean, most people get 10 vacation days a year, and a majority of them don't use all of that. So, like, I think for a while, I definitely felt the same, but I reached a point where I was like, okay, I don't live to work. I work to live. And like a part of actually living is experiencing the world and being able to do all of these things that working affords me the ability to do. Like, what's the point of working all the time if I can't then use the money I make to enjoy my life? So I think I remind myself of that whenever I do feel that guilt creeping in, because I definitely still feel it. Like, there's always something to do, there's always like more to be done. So I just remind myself, like, you're not here on this earth to just work. You deserve to be able to experience things as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, like, no matter if you take 5 days off, the world's not going to end. Yeah, I like that. And can you tell us how you got into traveling and remote working?
Yes. So it started in college. I really just felt a sense of like not belonging in Michigan, where I'm from. And I went to college there, and I just always wanted to be elsewhere. And so, like many other basic white blonde girls, I studied abroad. I'm just, no. But I studied abroad, and it was life changing. And, I had one of those experiences where it was like, now that I've seen part of the world, like, I just want to keep seeing it. So after I graduated from college, I had a normal job, 9 to 5, in an office building. I hated it. I found a remote job that I pursued very relentlessly. And then that remote job afforded me the ability to travel while I was working. And like the rest is history.
Awesome. Cool. And why did you stop traveling?
Yes. So I a little bit of timeline. So I started kind of like full-time traveling the world when I was around 22 years old. I was kind of solo traveling, I was remote working while traveling, doing all of these things at a pretty young age, like to be doing that, I guess. I mean, at least my family thought I was crazy. Um and I really started to slow down. Obviously, actually, I had no choice but to slow down when the pandemic happened. Travel was not a thing. The job that I had was working in travel, and that laid me off because there was no purpose for me to be marketing travel when no one could travel. And so I kind of had no choice but to stay put where I was. And it was a very, I mean, obviously life changing experience for everyone, but that's kind of why I stopped. And honestly, even though the world is like coming back to normal now, I don't travel as much as I used to. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think it started with COVID.
Okay. Okay. And what are some of the other reasons you stopped traveling?
Yes. So, as a part of growing up, and I think this has a lot to do with like my mental health at the time, when I was 22, I was figuring out who I was, what I wanted. And a lot of the reasons why I was traveling was to kind of like figure those questions out for myself. And I felt like I couldn't figure that out in Michigan. Like, I had to get out, I had to see what the world was, I had to challenge myself, I had to travel alone to like really understand who I was and what I wanted and all of that. And there were definitely times where I was using travel as kind of like an escape from facing the reality of my problems, right? Like it was like, well, if I just go on this next trip, I'll figure that thing out, or I'll be better because I did this and I overcame this trip, but really I was like ignoring all of the problems that were back at home. And so when I stopped traveling, a lot of those things came to the forefront that I wasn't confronting for a while. And I think, again, like a lot of people experienced this in the pandemic because we had nothing better to do with our time but just go down existential crisis holes in our brain. So, and then as I couldn't travel, I kind of realized, I went through a lot mentally and I kind of overcame some of these past demons, I guess. And I realized that, like, I don't really want to be constantly traveling all the time. It actually was exhausting in a way because I was pushing back on so many things. And I still love to travel. I encourage everyone to do it. And I do it multiple times a year, but it's just not as constant anymore because I'm not like trying to get away from my life anymore. Whereas before, I felt like that was a part of it. And I'm grateful for that. I had amazing experiences and they shaped who I am now. But yeah, I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love traveling, but yeah, I definitely think there's like a culture, which I still think I do. Like, well, I'll go on a trip and I'm like, when I get back, I'm going to fix everything. And then, yeah. How do you know when you're running away from your problems or when you're giving yourself a break?
Yes, this is a great question, and I think for a while I didn't know the answer to this, but now I think I'm a lot better at uh, being mindful of my thoughts, and so there were times in the past where I impulsively would book trips if say my boyfriend and I got in a fight, or something at work wasn't going well and I just thought that travel would be the solution. Like, well, if I just get away from my boyfriend for 2 weeks, I'll come back and everything will be better and I won't care about, that fight we just got in. I don't know if anyone watches White Lotus, but there was a character in the show called Daphne, and she said this thing that really stuck with me because it's so something I used to do. And I use travel as my escape. She uses other things, sex with other people, but I used travel as my escape. And she said, sometimes when bad things happen to you, you just need to do something to make yourself not feel like a victim of life. And to me, that's exactly what I was doing with travel. I was kind of, not all the time, I don't want to say all the time, but there were certain times where it was like, well, my relationship might not be going well, but I could go to South Africa and have this amazing experience. And like, then I'm not a victim of my problems, like then I have this experience to like cancel out those negative things. And so I think I would encourage anyone, like when you do book a trip or you are like feeling like you need to escape, just make sure that you come back to whatever, is actually going on. And if that is something where you're just like, hey, I deserve a break. I really want to hike Mount Kilimanjaro and I've always wanted to do that. Absolutely. Like you're not running away from a problem. You're trying to check off a bucket list item. That's totally fine. But I think just being aware of like the impulsions you might feel to travel, that's something I dealt with. So it's all just being mindful.
Mindful. I like that. Yeah, it's kind of like you need to take your power back, so you run away. That makes sense. Do you think a lot of the travel industry, like influencers, are still like that? Like, what do you think of the whole travel culture life? Ooh, the tea. The tea.
Dude, this is the tea. So, no, I genuinely do think a lot of people love travel. They love exploring. They want to encourage other people to do it. But I do feel like for a time, and it's a little past that time now, but like peak travel blogger Instagram era, which was in, I don't know, 2015 to 2018, kind of, where you'd see these girls in beautiful dresses standing on a cliff in Jordan, and you're like, what? I mean, how are they doing that? Why are they doing that? I mean, that looked miserable to me, but the photos were amazing, right? And so I think there was this like culture around just like making your life look so freaking perfect and amazing and just like epic. Like you would want to show off that this epic travel experience was like your life. And I don't know what those intentions behind those posts were, but I remember feeling like shit looking at those things. And I feel like a lot of us just felt like that was not attainable. But at the same time, it was inspiring me to see the world too. So I think it's just like a double-edged sword. I think that there can be very great intentions behind it, and I think now with like TikTok and Instagram versus reality, like you're seeing a lot more of the reality of travel, and it's definitely not all sunshine and butterflies.
I love that. Yeah, yep. That whole culture for a whole second was
It was
it
weird.
was so toxic, and we were all doing it.
Oh, we were all doing
Like
it.
no one can be like, I did not go on vacation and take
Oh,
a beautiful photo. Like we
no.
all committed to that life.
Uh-huh, we did. And I thought like there were certain places that I'd never even thought about going that then I saw one of those photos and I was like, I need to get that photo. Like I need to. And actually one of the places was Iceland. I saw photos of Iceland. To be honest, I don't know if I knew Iceland was a country before. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was 22. Like, when would I genuinely don't know if I knew it was a country. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I saw photos of it and I saw like the Northern Lights and I saw these girls in these crazy dresses in the glacier lagoon thing. And I was like, I need to go there. And it actually ended up being my favorite trip of my entire life. Like, it is one of my favorite countries. And I'm so glad that those photos inspired me to do it. But I'm not going to lie, like, half the reason I went on that trip was because I wanted photos like that. And luckily, it just turned out to be such an amazing place that regardless of whether I got the photos or not, it was fine. But yeah, kind of crazy.
Instagram marketing is just so good. They're so good. That's I mean, I definitely have dresses and fancy vacation places, and it was miserable to get that photo, but I committed to the role. I committed to the role. Um, that's so great. So when you go, because you've been on like long extended period trips, right? So how do you plan for those trips? And how do you travel alone? Because I don't. I don't. I went to France 3 days before my friend was meeting me in France, and I had a panic attack because I was like, someone's gonna kidnap me. I was like, South France. It was so safe. That's what taken ruined my life. Not really, but like, yeah, pretty much. I think I'm gonna get kidnapped anywhere I go.
Okay, so the two-part question. The first part, like, how do I plan for the long trips? I'm a Virgo sun, Virgo rising, and Capricorn moon. So I like to plan. And it's just like a part of me to plan everything to the last detail. Whether I follow that plan doesn't matter. I usually don't actually, but having the plan makes me feel better and more in control of the trip in general. So like for those long trips, I have everything pretty much mapped out. Like I don't leave things to chance. There's a lot of my friends in the travel industry who will show up in Budapest without a place to stay and they'll be like, "Well, I'm going to find a hostel tonight and like whatever." I could not do that. I at least would need a backup. I might change my plan, but like I need plan A to exist. So for anyone like worried about that, I think, you can get specific and you can have that plan A, but just don't be afraid to skew from the plan. Like maybe you meet some amazing people and like I don't know, be safe, but like they invite you to go to another town and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. You can always cancel your reservations and shit. The second part, the solo travel thing, I was definitely terrified the first time I did it. And I would suggest two things. If you really want to solo travel and you're just really like nervous about it, you can join a group trip by yourself. You're still solo traveling, but you're going to have that like built-in security of, there's going to be other people there that are your age. You're going to have a tour guide, so you're going to feel a little bit more relaxed about the situation, probably a little bit more safe too. And then the second thing you can do is just fucking do it. Like just force yourself to get on the plane because my very first solo trip, I was terrified. I was crying in the airport. I had like my 47-liter backpacker backpack. I was sobbing, like saying bye to my boyfriend for 3 months, gonna go backpack Europe by myself. And the whole time I'm like, am I really doing this? Like, what did I get myself into? And I just got on the plane, I landed, and that the feeling that you get when you're walking off the plane in a foreign land, reading these signs with a language you've never seen before, and you realize like you can find your way to the taxis from the airport terminal, like the feeling of confidence and independence that you have will fuel you the rest of your trip. Like there's no other way I can think of that you will feel more independent and in control of your life than taking a solo trip. So I would encourage everyone to do it if they have the slightest desire.
That's empowering. I didn't even think about it that way. So, whoa, thank you, Raimee. Taking control of your life by going on solo trips to
And you're capable. You realize, like, I'm so capable of doing whatever I want.
say it again.
Yes, and you just realize how capable you really are of like being an independent woman, like especially as a solo female traveler. I mean, it's scary and people will try to tell you like it's dangerous, and you know what? It's probably less dangerous than me walking down the street right now to move my car in Los Angeles, quite frankly. I mean, a lot of places depending on where you go, you know, but you will just never feel more capable than taking a solo trip.
I can say that I do the craziest things when I travel. Like I've definitely gotten into cars with strangers, like in France and in like Spain, and had no questions about it because my instincts were like, go with this person, and nothing bad ever happened. Yeah, I think your instincts kick in when you're traveling because you're like, okay, so what feels right, and that's all you have to go with. I love that. So travel insurance. I don't believe in travel insurance. I don't. I maybe it's my instincts telling me you better just fucking survive or figure it out. You don't need to be insured. But I know you love travel insurance. You've talked about it a few times on your TikTok and Instagram. You want to convince me to buy some travel insurance?
Yes, let me do it. Okay, so this is probably also like, you know, because of my innate Virgo nature, but travel insurance, sure, are you going to use it? Probably not. But if you have to, you are going to be so glad that you have it. And I think a misconception is a lot of people think that, you know, buying travel insurance for a 2 week trip is like astronomically expensive. It can be $30. So your laptop could get stolen, your camera could get stolen, you could be on a hike and twist your ankle and have to go to the hospital in Colombia, and your travel insurance will cover any expenses. It'll cover lost items, it'll cover stolen items, damaged items. So wouldn't you rather just pay the $30 to yeah, for like 2 weeks, especially if you're young, which we are. But it's really not as expensive as people think. I mean, maximum, I feel like it could be $100 for that. But I use Safety Wing, which is like my preferred one, or World Nomads, and both of those plans have never been more than $50 for me. And I've only had to use travel insurance once, but I was very grateful that I had it.
I had no idea it was that cheap. I thought it was like 20, 40 a day for some reason. Well, that's interesting. And how what's the max it covers? Like $2,000 laptop completely covered?
So it kind of depends, obviously, on your plan, but you can choose what things you want it to cover. So I have a lot of friends who travel with like crazy photography equipment, so they'll buy, you know, like a level up so that up to $10,000 of equipment is covered, right? So you can, you know, obviously if you pay more, more of your stuff will be covered. But like the standard plans typically cover like up to maybe a couple $1,000s. Don't quote me on that, but like, you know, you can kind of pick and choose. I had a friend who didn't get travel insurance and they were on their honeymoon, their around the world trip honeymoon. And in Argentina, I believe, all of their camera gear was stolen and they had already been on like 3 months of their trip. And I mean, they didn't have travel insurance one. So I think it was like $20,000 worth of stuff was gone. And then also, all of those photos were gone. So nothing you can do about the photo thing unless you upload to iCloud at the same time. So that's your insurance on photos. But buy travel insurance.
So now that we're talking about like money, like you also talk about rewards points and like using credit cards. What are some like rewards that people are sleeping on with travel right now?
Yes. So I think this is one thing that a lot of people I will notice on social media like have a misconception about is like that you need to spend so much money on a travel rewards card to get points that are able to buy you a flight or a hotel room. And no, if you're doing it the right way, you should not be spending any more than you are already spending, right? Like the goal is to just live your life the way you're already living it and be rewarded for the things you're already buying. So the way that that works is by like a travel rewards card sign up bonus, and that's going to give you anywhere from like 60 to 100,000 points right off the bat, usually by just doing your normal spending. Once you hit that normal spending target, it ranges from like 2,000 to 4,000 within the first 3 months of having the card. That's easy for me personally. I don't, it kind of depends on your lifestyle, but a hack around this is if you do want to meet that minimum spend to get that big sign up bonus to use on free flights, free hotels, and you don't spend $3,000 in 3 months, ask to offer to buy stuff for your family and friends, have them Venmo you. You're not losing any money on this, right? You're just hacking your way into getting those rewards points. So obviously do that with discretion and the people you trust, but there's ways to make it happen if you really want to make it happen, and it can help you save thousands of dollars on flights and hotels over the course of those points that you end up accumulating. So don't sleep on travel rewards cards. My favorite one is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. It's the best one for beginners. So I would recommend that one. Use my link in my bio to sign up because then I get points too. But also, actually, another one that I just heard about that I want to start using is the Built card, which you can actually pay your rent on. So anyone that's worried about like, oh, I don't spend $4,000 in 3 months, like that's too much. Use the Built card, which is like a newer card, to pay your rent with, and you can get points for paying your rent. That is something, again, that you're already spending money on, and usually that is a couple $1,000s over the course of a couple months, and you will get points for that.
I like that. Is that also in your bio?
No, but I should add it. I don't have that card yet.
By the time it's uploaded, you'll be in her bio. Okay, let's talk packing because I never pack enough, but I travel. We have like a girls trip every year, and they overpack. They will pack like 4 suitcases. I pack 1 suitcase and usually end up wearing all their clothes. What's the best way to go about this situation?
Okay, if anyone follows me, they know that I am a carry-on only, like, I don't even know, spokesperson. I will never check a bag. You will never catch me waiting in those airport lines. Like, have you seen those lines? I'm not waiting in those lines to check the bag. Fuck that. And you have to like pay extra for that shit? No. I will shove all my stuff into a carry-on. Just I will find a way. And my tips for doing that, because I was getting a little heated there, because I also just do not want to be lugging around suitcases. I went on a trip with there's so much passion. I went on a trip with one of my friends, best friends, shout out Alyssa. That girl overpacks, and she never wears everything she packs. I would bet sometimes. Sometimes. Okay, so
I wear her clothes every trip, and I love it.
So one of the hacks is to get yourself a friend who overpacks, and then you don't have to deal with their mistake of doing that. But the other hack to help you carry on only, and this may be boring for like fashionista people, I don't know. I like to pack like a lot of neutrals, blacks, and whites so that I can easily like mix and match and create like 12 different outfits out of 3 items. And so that makes it feel like I have a ton of outfits, even though it's all fitting in a tiny little carry-on. Not tiny, but you know what I mean. So that's one way to do it, because I personally I'm wearing all black right now, so, but just pack things that mix and match anyways. Dresses are always great because they don't take up as much space. A lot of people recommend packing cubes, and you can get the kind that like vacuum seal shut. Like if you do really want to jam pack, I'm too lazy for that, but it is a good method if you want to like shove everything in the carry-on. And then, carry on plus a backpack, that should be enough. I've done that for like 2 months, and it was more than enough. So, just gotta.
Raimee's such a simple Virgo. It's so unfair. Because she's like, just wear the minimal and like organized. I'm just like, listen, we're not all Virgos, okay?
The Leo Gemini of the world
Yeah.
might not be able to, and that's fine. Like,
But I agree. I usually I put all my prints together, and as long as the prints all have one theme color,
yes.
it counts. So that's an alternative if you wear a lot of prints and colors like me. What is adulting to you? How do you adult properly?
Well, still figuring that one out, but I would say the biggest lesson I've learned about adulting is not, sure, personal finance, being able to make sure that you're like on track for retirement, like the boring stuff, like we all know that we should be doing that, but I kind of want to like, don't feel guilty if you're still figuring that stuff out, because it is a lot, and we're just living life day by day. But anyways, that didn't make any sense. Put stuff in your Roth IRA. But my biggest lesson in adulting, honestly, is to keep promises to yourself. And like that is the main thing that gets me through whatever like struggle, is having a practice daily that I can always count on myself for. Like developing that, trust with myself really helps in every single other area of my life. And as soon as I fall off on that, as soon as I start like making excuses for myself or lying to myself about things or, like using travel as an escape, that's when I fall off the wagon a bit, honestly. Like that's when I get more anxiety or more stress. So even if you start every single day with like one thing, I don't know, like going for a walk around your block, keeping that one promise to yourself is going to amplify like or multiply the other little things that you can keep doing in your life. And I just think that it helps everything. I don't know. Keep promises to yourself so you can trust yourself.
Yeah, no, that's so it trains your brain. Like if you promise yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're like letting yourself down and your brain thinks you're a loser.
Yes.
And that's short terms. And if you actually follow through with everything you say, your brain's like, "Oh, I'm dope. I'm amazing." It's like boost your confidence.
Yes.
You commit to yourself. If you can't commit to yourself, who the fuck can you commit to? It's all these things. So I completely agree. I'm not the best at it, but I agree that everyone should do it for sure. What are your go-to comforts? We're gonna do rapid fire. So come closer to me. Okay. Go-to comfort location.
My bed.
Go-to comfort person.
My mom.
Go-to comfort food.
Pizza.
Comfort drink.
Ooh, vanilla latte with almond milk. Even though that gives me anxiety because it has caffeine. From where? Honestly, this random spot called Rock and Wagner. It's like a bakery by me. It's so good.
Go-to comfort book.
Harry Potter, all of them.
Go-to comfort movie.
Also Harry Potter and Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. And like okay, one basic one maybe like Love Actually. That's because it's Christmas time right now, and I love that movie.
Okay, what is it called?
Love Actually.
Love Actually.
Have you seen it?
No.
It's a cute Christmas movie. You should see it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. What's next, Raimee? She's already been on Good Morning America. She's blowing up on TikTok. She has a book you can buy for traveling and a whole bunch of links for all these cool travel tricks, not ticks, tricks and tips. So what's next for you, Raimee?
So I really like my full-time job and I do a lot of the travel tips stuff on the side and I think it's so fun and it would be really cool if that was like my full-time thing, but I'm kind of just liking, making it my part-time thing, helping other people travel more, travel cheaper, like see the world and inspire them to do so. And I feel like now that I'm at a place where I've done the backpacking thing. I've travel hacked and gotten first class flights. Like I've experienced all these things that I just want to continue teaching people about. And then hopefully like what's next for me is just working with amazing creators like yourself and expanding my content horizons. Like I have so much more besides travel that I would love to talk about eventually. Like crazy dating stories. No, but also I'm really good at giving dating advice.
I've been telling Raimee to post about her dating stories for the past year and a half, just so everyone knows. And when she finally starts posting this, I just will feel so complete in life. You need to do that.
Yeah, I know. I was telling Talea in the car ride here that I have a funny story about a French guy I dated that eventually I will tell the world. But I don't know. I'm just living life day by day, and yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was so fun. We will definitely do this again. Thank you for tuning in to the Mental Health Day podcast and catching a flight with me and Raimee. Go ahead and smash that like button, download, follow us, slide into our DMs if you have any questions about anything. We are here to help you guys master your mental health so you can master adulthood. See you next time, guys. Bye.
Woo!
Woo. Okay, ready?
All right, let's get out of here. Well, one day.
One day. We're working on it.